Got it. Come back to here. All right, so good morning. And again, I just want to say thank you everybody for joining us for the Arizona Indian Education Association General Meeting today for our December meeting. We do have a full agenda, so we'll go ahead and get started. It is now 11:14. Just to go on the record, as I mentioned that we do not have full membership or enough members on the call to call an official meeting. So right now, this is just an informational meeting for those on the call. If we do get members of AIEA that do join us, I will officially call the meeting to order at that time. But in the meantime, we're just going to go ahead and move forward with what we have on the agenda today. So again, thank you for joining us this morning. So Nawa Kwa Hatsoan Toya, Goigu Masip Chawi Aimda, Kimberly Danko Bigay Khan. My name is Kimberly Danko Bigay. I am of the Kiowa, Caddo, and Pawnee Nations, originally from Oklahoma. I am the coordinator for the Native American Education Program here in Tucson for Amphitheater Public Schools, and I currently sit as the president for the Arizona Indian Education Association. And so if you'll just give me a few moments, I would just like to read our land acknowledgement statement. Beneath the contemporary surface of any site in the United States, there are histories of belonging that have been erased, overlooked, contested, and forgotten, all ways to support ideas like manifest destiny, which justified the conquest of native lands. Between 1776 and 1887, the United States seized over 1.5 billion acres from America's indigenous people by treaty and executive order. There are currently 574 sovereign tribal nations, variously called tribes, nations, bands, pueblos, communities, and native villages that have a formal nation-to-nation relationship with the United States government. There are 334 federally and state recognized American Indian reservations as of 2010. These 574 tribal nations are located across 35 states and within the geographical borders of the United States. Even within the US borders, each tribal nation exercises its own sovereignty. Each of the 574 tribal governments is legally defined as a federally recognized tribal nation. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment in time. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. Today, we acknowledge the ancestral lands of the Acamel Otham and the Peepash people upon which our AIEA headquarters stands. I also acknowledge the homelands of the Tohono O'odham and the Waimea people upon which I currently am. We pay respects to their elders, past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that brings us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events. I just want to say thank you for allowing us to read this statement. As I've mentioned in our previous meetings, I think it's very important that we provide this acknowledgement to the traditional homelands of where we are currently at. So I appreciate your patience. So with that, we'll go into introductions, and I would like our executive board members to please introduce themselves. And then I'll go down the list for those who are currently on the call. So we'll start with our Vice President Esther.
Good morning. Yat e shikedo shidane e she e torichin Englishle. Bilgana bashichin. Ashin dashi che bilgana dashanale she Esther Nystrom Ganesha. Good morning. My name is Esther Nystrom. I'm currently sitting as the Vice President for the Arizona Indian Education Association. I am the CEO and founder of Bitterwater Design and Cultural Learning. And just recently, I am now the new elder in residence at Arizona State University Polytechnical Campus. Thank you.
Had to take my earbud out of the other one. Good morning. I'm Sheila Cypress. I'm a Native American Program Coordinator for Scottsdale Unified School District, and also very honored to be asked to be the treasurer of the AIEA Association.
Thank you, officers. We'll go down the list that for those on the call. So Katie,
Hi, everybody. My name's Katie Parker. I am with the White River Unified School District up in the White Mountains. I am the Federal Programs Coordinator, and there was something else I was going to say. Oh, and we try to bring all of our parents in, so I'm hoping to recruit more to attend AIEA.
thank you, Katie. It's always great to have you on the call. You're somebody we always look up to for guidance, you and Sheila. So thank you for joining us. And Sarah.
Yacht A, she Sarah Woody Jackson Unishia, Twittergini Nishle, Twitzoni Bashishin, Centrikina Dashiche, Do Tapaha Dashinella. I am with the Office of Indian Education, and I am the program project specialist there. I just started in October, and I believe this is my third meeting with you guys. So again, thank you for having me. Lynanne will not be able to join us today, but I'm here in her place, and will do my best to answer any questions you may have. But welcome and thank you.
Always great to have you, Sarah. Thank you for joining us. We always appreciate the Office of Indian Education joining our meetings and providing our updates for us. So thank you again, and to everybody. And so as you can see, I have on the screen, we do have our agenda overview of what is on the agenda today. So we have our minutes, approval of the minutes. We have after the minutes, we'll have our president's report, our treasurer's report, updates on Indian education from both the Office of Indian Education at the State Department, as well as National Indian Education Association. I don't see Joaquin on the call, but if he happens to hop on, we'll allow him some time. Then we have our old business where we're going to discuss our Winter Youth Leadership Camp, and then we'll go into our new business. There are several items under our new business, including the National Science Foundation grant letter of support, as well as membership, a few items about membership, as well as some updates on our executive officers. And then we're going to talk a little bit about our AIEA bylaws. I promise it's not boring and dry. Then we'll go into our program share outs, and then we'll adjourn the meeting. I do want to make note that our next meeting, as always, are held on the third Fridays of every month. Currently, we are meeting by Zoom. If that changes, I will let the membership know ahead of time, and we'll send out a meeting notification. But in the meantime, again, our next meeting will be on Friday, January 20th. With that, we'll go into the approval of the minutes. Currently, I do not have the meeting minutes for those that were listed. If you can see on the previous slide, we do have several meeting minutes that need to be approved, but because I have not received those just yet and they are not completed, unfortunately, I don't have those for today. But as soon as we get those, I will send those out to our membership, so that way you can have time to review all the meeting minutes from these dates from June 24th, September 9th, October 21st, and November 18th. And so again, being that we don't have an official meeting for today, these meeting minutes, I am going to request that whenever we do have an official meeting, even if it does go into next month, then we'll be able to approve all the minutes at the same time during that time. But for the time being, for purposes of this meeting, if we get the membership on the call, then we will need to table these meeting minutes to our January 20th meeting. Any questions about that? Okay, if there are none, we'll move right on into the president's report. I do want to give a report about the recent, well, not recent, it was in October, about the National Indian Education Association conference that took place in October. I have to apologize to the membership because I did not have time to put a PowerPoint presentation together. And I do want to provide all the information that was gathered at that conference to present to the membership. And so I will do a presentation, an official presentation at our January meeting. But for the time being, I will just give you some idea of what we did there at the conference. The first day we had an educators day where we had 3 different presenters that were on a panel. And one in particular is actually one of my relatives on my Kiowa side, Stephen Paul Judd. And he had, well, all 3 did really great presentations, but particular for Stephen's presentation or what he discussed, he was talking about a book that he had done with, if you remember from, I believe it was, oh gosh, the movie slips my mind now, Smoke Signals, Thomas. He did a book with him and it's called Powwow Heaven, I think, or something like that. But he talked about his inspiration on how that book came about. And it was really interesting because he had talked about sharing with an elder on his experience, and based off of that is how he came to create that book. But he would like to still continue along those lines and what he would like to put out there as far as publishing another book in regard to the elder of what he spoke with directly with him. But it was really interesting on, just creating, using that creativity and for all the presenters during that time and their journeys of what they experienced and went through and what they're doing now and sharing out that education to the world, to our Native communities and the representation that they have out there and sharing each of what they are doing for our communities. But that was it was an all-day session, all afternoon session during that time. And I'm trying to remember of exactly what took place because like I said, it was some time back in October 5th, 6th, and 7th, I think, along those lines or those dates. And so I don't have all the sessions that I attended in front of me right now, but I'm trying to highlight a few of the sessions that I do remember on the agenda. One of the sessions we talked about also was a Johnson OMalley session that I'm also a part of that board. And so we gave out a lot of information in regard to the parent committees and what's expected of the parent committees during that time, that they are a part of the Johnson OMalley programs. We did have some clarifications that were presented during that session. And it was actually a lot of people that came. We had a full house in the session that was provided there. And we read out the resolutions that were currently coming out. So as an update for that, one of the resolutions that we presented on was presented by Senator Warren, Elizabeth Warren, and it was in regard to the funding for Indian education. And if you haven't received any notice about that, I'll have to go back and find the link that was just recently put out. That was one of the things we talked about in supporting as far as the Johnson OMalley Association for that. And it was one of the items that she listed in the legislation of the bill that she presented was an increase in the Johnson OMalley funds. And it was an annual increase of 6%. So for those of us that do receive Johnson OMalley funds, that's a huge increase that we can receive that is presented as an annual increase for these programs funding. So we're hoping that that will go through that was just presented, I want to say within the past couple of weeks, and it will go before Congress. So keep an eye out on that. And of course, I'll keep everybody updated as soon as I hear from any updates in regard to that legislation for that. One of the other sessions that I attended was a Indigenous research or a Indigenous study that they did in different programs across Indian country on utilizing Indigenous knowledge and their education teaching techniques. And so there were different programs that had come together. I have to look and see which program that was that actually oversaw that study, but there were different programs that shared out the transformation and the impact that it had upon their students and what was taught and what they learned through these techniques and what the students learned and what they gained from that type of strategies. And so it was really interesting to hear the information that was provided in that session. But again, I wanted to do a PowerPoint presentation to provide more information, and I will do so at the time. One of the other sessions that I attended was out of OU, the University of Oklahoma. They have a science program that focused towards STEM and indigenizing the STEM field. And so I do have some brochures and flyers that I brought back from that program. They had a whole stack of them that they gave to me. So I'll share those out, at a later time. But it was, I think Brooke was actually a part of that session with me, and the presenters actually had one of the students that went through the program, and she is now currently helping and assisting in what they're focusing up on for that program. One of the other sessions again was with the University of Arizona. I tried to go to a lot of the sessions that focus within our area as well as nationally of what we could benefit for AIEA. For the U of A presentation, it was focused upon the language emphasis and the teachers that were going through a program, the Indigenous Teachers Education Program. Just as a FYI, they are having their graduation ceremonies today here in Tucson, and there's 3 candidates that went through successfully and completed the ITEP program. So just a shout out to them. Congratulations to those individuals who are receiving their degrees in that program today. It is so needed. We do need Indigenous teachers throughout to assist us in sharing out about our beautiful culture and educating others of for our Native community. That was actually one of the resolutions that was on the agenda for the overall conference at the time. And I'll get that information also and present that and send that out to everybody. One of the other sessions I attended was actually done by Brooke and Helen, and they did a fantastic job on presenting about Indigenous use of materials for helping teach out for Native American students. And that was actually one of the PD sessions that they did over the summertime. They had a lot of great resources that were provided, which I'm sure are on the website, but we'll get that information and share that out to you as well. And I'm trying to think of that we were able to do a lot of networking during the time that I was there also, and highlighting and promoting what we do for AIEA. So I got a lot of positive feedback and encouraging words from different ones that I met with and visited during my time there at NIEA. But again, I will get a PowerPoint presentation together with that will look really pretty, and I'll send it out to all of the membership before the January meeting comes through. Esther, I know that you were part of NIEA also, so I'm going to allow you some time if you would like to share out as far as what you would like to share with our AIEA community.
Thank you very much. Yes, I did attend NIEA. There were lots of programs and tribes from all over the US and Alaska. There were many different sessions to choose from during those times that we were there. One of my favorites was the hands-on activity, basket weaving. And that lady who was teaching the class was from California, and she told her stories about how San Juan Capistrano was the area she was located in, where the Catholics came in and took over the land. And then, with people moving in, the land was taken over in that area. And so they worked very hard as a tribe to reestablish themselves with the US government. They're still in debates now, but what she taught was that using the basket weaving and the actual weaving of how our lives are like roller coasters and go up and down, our experiences in life also do the same. And so her emphasis was with every weave going up and down with through the main bones of the basket, we are releasing and remembering those times of when our lives go up and down into completion of an entire basket. So I really enjoyed that piece and really listened to her. And when you listen to their different stories, you take them in and you create from your perspective of how that can affect your life or affect the students that are around you and the other adults, and really listening into the stories. That is one that I do remember from NIEA. I don't have my notes in front of me, and it was some time back. So that is one that really touched me, and like to carry on that story. Thank you for listening.
Yes, there were so many sessions that you could choose from. And it was really difficult to try and make a decision of which one to actually go to. But like I said, I wanted to kind of focus on information that I could bring back for the AIEA. So I did go to a lot of the sessions that pertain to the Arizona community. But I'll get the PowerPoint presentation together and get that out to everybody before the January meeting. So thank you, Esther, for sharing that. I think it's really important, on what we learned there and to bring that back to the membership. And it's so inspirational to hear stories like that, especially from other different tribes as part of that cultural sharing that we like to promote and helping to educate others. So thank you for sharing that out. All right, really quickly, I'll go through the remainder of my report that I would like to present. As always, I just like to emphasize the Arizona Johnson O'Malley Quarterly Forum that we have. This was started back in January of last year, or this year, already thinking ahead. But January of this past year was when we held our first session, and it's really gone turn in a really good direction because we have a lot of positive feedback. There are a lot of questions that are asked at these forums, as well as providing some answers that are provided directly from, and we've been very fortunate and very thankful that the Bureau of Indian Education has been a part of these sessions. The Office of Indian Education at the federal level I believe has joined in maybe on one of our planning sessions or one of the forums. I don't remember which one, but Mr. Julian Guerrero has been a part of these also. But I think it's a great network that we have, that we're able to provide a lot of information to a group versus by email or just a few people in a smaller meeting. So this provides a forum where a lot of the educators, program directors, Title I directors, state and federal program directors, where they can be a part of this information or this forum to get this information, and any questions that may pertain to the funding, allowable costs, student count, any of these items that are part of the Johnson O'Malley funding itself. These are the topics that we discuss, and we do break out into sessions to provide that opening for any questions that we may not be able to answer in the larger group. But we do have an ongoing digital resource tools that we utilize, and I will share those out in a follow-up email that you can go to and see what the different information and questions that are presented during these forums. But we do use Padlet. This is something that's open to our educators that are a part of the forum. It's an ongoing use for digital tool that if they have any questions that come up later, they're able to go back to that and ask, and we answer it to the best of our ability, or if we don't have the answers, then we seek guidance from the BIE during that time. But we have been fortunate, as I mentioned, that they do attend our sessions and are on the call. They are also a part of our planning meetings. And so we do get a lot of information out for that. So our next, it's been going really well. So we are going to continue this for the following year. We do have dates set up. It's every fourth Thursday on a quarterly basis. So our next meeting will take place on January 26th at 9 a.m. It is 3 hours, but it goes by quickly. And we have updated the strategy and the structure of this upcoming forum. And so we do what we call a networking time, which will take place at the end of the forum. So if you need to hop off, you're more than welcome to do so. But again, our next forum will be held on Thursday, January 26th, and it'll be from 9 to 12. And if you would like to be a part of that, then please send me an email, and I will get you on our email list, so that way you'll be able to join us. And so this is our schedule here, and just the times for our quorum. Our forum, sorry. And this is the Arizona Johnson O'Malley Quarterly Forum for that. All right. Secondly, really quickly, I just wanted to acknowledge that the White House has held a Tribal Nations Summit that took place recently. And let me put that in the chat so you can have this information also. So you'll be able to read the full statement of this. But the Biden-Harris administration announced new actions to support Indian country and Native communities ahead of the administration's second Tribal Nation Summit. So this is something that's really great to hear, because we haven't had that in quite some time. And so it was really encouraging to hear that this is coming back up. And so I did want to just a few of the things in the statement. You can read the entire statement when you have some time. So just some of the highlights that they talked about was a presidential memorandum on uniform standards for tribal consultation, new tribal consultation policies, best practices for tribal treaty and reserved rights, implementing tribal co-management and co-stewardship of federal lands and waters, new indigenous knowledge guidance for federal agencies, access to capital in Indian country. But one of the, there's several other items that they talked about on here. But one of the things I wanted to highlight also, I'm trying to scroll down to it, is about the education that they talked about. Let me see if I can find it on here. So education in Native languages. One of the things that they spoke about was expanding and implementing the Native Languages MOA. So in November 2021, 10 federal agencies coordinated through the White House initiative signed a Native Languages MOA to promote collaboration on programming, resource development, and policy related to Native languages. The number of agencies will more than double, with 13 additional agencies now joining the MOA and committing to advance its Native language objectives. And so you can read more about that particular item in the statement that I shared in the chat. One of the things quickly that I wanted to highlight that took place was, if you're keeping up with it, is the Holland versus Brackeen case. This case is an ICW, the Indian Child Welfare Act case that has been ongoing for quite some time now. They recently had a hearing to where they would hear the arguments of this particular case. And so I will send that link out. I don't have it on me just yet, but I will send that out to the membership, because I think it's really important, because it does affect directly those of us who do work with children in group homes or foster homes with the adoption agencies within the states that some of our students may be a part of. So I do want to share just that information, just so you're apprised of what's happening with that particular case. That's an ongoing litigations that could really impact how our children are adopted out. And so the ICWA has really been a stronghold in keeping our children within our tribal communities. But this is a attack, what we consider an attack upon our Native communities, as far as the Indian child welfare adoption agencies that are out there. And so I will keep that information up to date to you, and we'll send that out in a follow-up email also. Lastly, I just wanted to highlight, I did mention to a few of the colleagues that I would share this out. These are some job opportunities. This first one is with NAU, and it is a community program coordinator that this will close on January 3rd. And the second one that I have is with ASU. They are looking for student success and retention coordinators. So if you know of anybody that that may be interested in this position, please share out. Why is that not copying and pasting? Share out with those who may be interested in this. Okay, I'm not sure why this isn't copy and pasting, so I'll probably have to send this to you guys by email also. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not going. But the one at ASU, there's actually a couple of openings that are open, and I know well, now that I'm reading it, these postings do close on December 16th at 3 o'clock. So I will actually get this out to everybody as soon as we get off this call. So that way you can have it. And if you know of anyone that may be interested in applying, then please share that out with them. And so with that, I just wanted to end with, as always, just with our information for AIEA. These are some links to our website, our email, our Facebook, and our YouTube page. We do provide our recordings up on our YouTube page for every meeting that we have. And so in conclusion, AIEA wants to create safe spaces for our membership to be heard. We will also continue to work with allies and partners to make meaningful and measurable change within our organization and society as a whole, in keeping with our mission to provide research and resources to Arizona schools for American Indian students to achieve academic excellence through culturally responsive education. So again, I just want to thank you for your patience and allowing me to present the report on behalf of AIEA as the president. So thank you for your time and attending. And so we will go on to the next item on the agenda. But before we do, are there any questions? All right. If there are none, we will move on to the treasurer's report. And unfortunately, I do not see that Travis is on the call with this. And I do not, let me look through my emails real quick to make sure. Yeah, I do not have an updated treasurer's report at this time. And so we will have to move beyond this report. And once I do receive that, I'll put that also in a follow-up email. I'll follow up with Travis to get updated information, because we are in a transitional process. And Sheila, I'm not sure if you had time to connect with Travis on getting some information for the treasurer's report today.
No, we were going to try to meet this month, but of course it's been crazy for both of us. I'm hoping maybe Travis and I can meet during our winter break. I will contact him and we'll kind of see if we can meet up, hopefully before the next meeting.
Okay, that'll work. I didn't think you guys had had a chance to meet up this month, but again, if we get the information and updated, then we will send that out before our January meeting also. And so we appreciate your patience as we go through these transitions with AIEA. All right, so next on the agenda, we do have, we'll get to it, our Indian education update. And so I do see, thank you, Sarah, for hanging in there with us. And so I'm going to turn it over to Sarah to provide our Indian education updates for the state office. So Sarah?
Thank you, Kimberly. So as usual, Lynanne is the one that primarily does the updates for us, but she is unable to make it. She does send her regards and wishes everyone a wonderful holiday weekend that's coming up. But we don't really have a lot of updates to provide. It's just that I know there's a lot of questions regarding if what's going to happen with our office because of the new leadership in place. But we do have a statute that is protecting us at this time. So what we're doing now is just moving forward and pushing through whatever projects we have going on. We are going to continue working on that until we are told otherwise. So we just there's just a little shift in leadership at this time, but for now, we're just going to continue with the work that we're doing. And if there are any updates that needs to be shared immediately, we will definitely send that out to you all. But for now, we're just going through this transition phase. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. I know for those of us and a few of the members with AIEA are also part of the Indian Education Advisory Council. That is with the State Department. And we did meet recently with Superintendent, or our former Superintendent Hoffman, and she did do a farewell meeting with us. And it was really, we were really sad to see her not reelected, but offered, her support and, as an individual to continue that support for our Indian education, for the champion work that she did for our Native community. So we are anxious and awaiting, as Sarah mentioned, with the new transition with that office, and we're looking forward to what the next steps will be. So thank you, Sarah, for providing that quick update. Lynn did let me know also that she wouldn't be able to be here. And so she has actually added another graduation. So there's graduations going on right now for all of our students. And so that's something we may consider. Maybe we should keep it earlier in the month, or at least the month of December, due to the graduations, the same as we do in May. So
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Sarah? All right. If there are none, we will move on to old business. So looking ahead, we wanted to, and I didn't even update this particular slide heading, but this is our winter youth camp. This is our Protecting Our Land winter youth camp that we started back in 2017, and started out as a summer camp in lieu of having our youth conference. And so we have had students that have attended that find it unique and always want to come back to our camps. With the pandemic that took place, it really threw a wrench in how we hold our camps. So we had to go to a virtual realm, and we do participation kind of slacked off a little bit, but we are continuing to keep that going for our students. And I think a lot of it is just due to them being on the computer so often during the past couple of years. And so the last winter camp we had was actually this past January, where we had to postpone it from a December meeting during that time. But we did have students that attended that session. We had really great presenters that presented during that time. And we wanted to create a winter camp because it's a time where we can share out our cultural stories during that time. And Enrique Salt is a co-coordinator with me on planning this camp. And so we wanted to have more participation from students, and we didn't have a lot that confirmed that they would attend in December. And so officially, or prior to have these dates, we did have the dates for today, starting today through Monday. But unfortunately, like I mentioned, we didn't have enough student participation that we felt would benefit from having this camp. And so we did want to provide that opportunity for more students to participate. So we did push it back. Our committee met and we updated our event agenda for the camp, which will take place on Saturday and Sunday versus a 3-day camp. It will be a 2-day camp, and it will be virtual. And so the email did go out to some of the educators it was either last week or earlier this week. Lots of things going on, but we will get that out to our AIEA membership also. As you can see, we do have an updated flyer. We do have a registration link that is provided, and I'm not able to copy and paste that link on here. So Esther, if you happen to have that, would you mind posting the link in the chat box? I'm not sure why I can't get that link on here. Actually, I went to just opened up a PowerPoint instead of what I have. So I was able to copy and paste the camp registration link. This is a link that that can be provided to all of the students that may be interested. It's open to students in 7th through 12th grade that currently reside within Arizona and attend the Arizona schools. This year's theme emphasizes the way our ancestors use cultural knowledge of the surrounding environment to sustain a way of life for our people. We will also send out a flyer, updated flyer to everybody. The themes for this camp, and so that you can help share out of what we are looking at for this winter camp are, we are focusing upon the elements. So our theme is braiding the elements of life. And we are focusing upon the fire, water, air, and land. So those elements with the fire, we're focusing around the home and the family teaching from the time they are born. For our Native communities, our education begins at home. And so this is something that we encourage and emphasize during these camps that we have at both the summer and the winter camps that we provide to the students. So some of the things we want them to consider are ceremonial teachings of what that pertains to as far as the fire and that spark that's there for them. As a child, what was the spark that was instilled within them to maintain teachings that were passed down to them? And so these are some of the questions that we will present to the students that do attend this camp. As far as water, we look at that as a planning portion of our life. It represents the home, life, the moisture, new beginnings. It also represents growth. So in relation to water, one of the questions we'll ask the students is how they describe of how they navigated overcoming any type of turmoil and how they got through it, going back to the ground to recharge, to relearn, to expand their knowledge, and how they felt absorbed into the air. And so, just pertaining to that water and life way of what's presented to us and helping us grow. And so this is something that we're going to share out with the students from that perspective. As far as life, it represents air, it represents life and that implementation. So the life cycle from our birth to our last breath. So the air that we breathe. Also, it could be from our perspective. We view it also as looking to our ancestors and that spiritual connection that we get in that connection that we have to them. So what's the feeling that we have when we know our ancestors are near or close, and knowing that they provide that foundation that gives us the strength to navigate through life. And so just that air being out there, that is a part of who they are as individuals. And so that's what we'll focus on for that element. And then finally for the land, it's viewed as a reflection. We see the land as a gift. It was something that was provided to us. So we have that reciprocal relationship with the land, in that we take care of the land and the land takes care of us. And also presenting to the students of how they take care of the land that was gifted to us. And so talking about the teachings and the values that are embedded in the land that provide sustainability for our livelihood. So these are some of the things that we talk about, are going to be talking about and sharing. These are some of the highlights that the presenters will talk about and talk to whenever we do have the camp in February. So that, just sharing about what is on our agenda and the theme of why we selected this particular theme for our students this year. And so if you could just help us spread the word, we do have an email that information again that was sent out, and I'll be sure to send that out to our membership so that way you can start sharing and encouraging students, recruiting students to become a part of the cultural camp. Again, the camp registration link is open. The only thing we don't currently have is our payment information. We are going to confirm on how payment will be provided and get that information in the coming weeks. And so Esther is also a part of the camp committee. And so Esther, do you have anything you would like to add to, to that report?
Nope. I think you did a wonderful job discussing the dates, the February 4th and 5th, the 2 days. So it's a spring camp. We will be taking off that winter portion of our announcement. And we hope that you can get involved and bring your students involved. I've attended the in-person camp quite a few years ago, and then we had our camps by Zoom, which was pretty effective for our students, and we were able to take breaks. Our elders that come in are wonderful and full of information. So if you get a chance to come, or if you get a chance to invite your students, please let them know that our Protecting Our Land camp will be covering those 4 areas for this year. Well, next year, 2023. I hope to see you there.
Yes, thank you so much, Esther. A lot of work goes into planning these camps, and we do emphasize that it is unique. It's not like any other youth camp, so we do encourage students to participate. So if you can help just share this out again with students who may be interested in coming as AIEA members, those who are members of the organization do receive a discount off of the registration fee. So for AIEA members, as you can see here, it is at $75 versus $100 for non-AIEA members that are there. We are still partnering with or collaborating with ITCA with Brian Davidson, that we did ask him to help sponsor the camp. And so we are actually proposing a budget, pulling a budget together for his portion of the camp. And so we're looking at their assistance in continuing the camp that we have for our students. And so again, just the outreach that we have, we'll get that information out to you. I did put, if anybody has questions about the camp or registration, you can either reach out to myself or to Enrique. We're the co-coordinators that are planning the camp for this year, or this upcoming year, I should say. And so are there any questions?
Kim?
Yes,
I'd like to add just a little bit more.
go ahead.
With that price of the students, it is actually very inexpensive due to the fact that we are providing lodging if we're going to be doing in person, and then also it includes all of the materials. If we continue on Zoom, they will receive the materials, and then also all of the meals are paid for if it is in person. So, but those are wonderful benefits that the students can receive during the camp.
Yes, thank you, Esther, for including that bit of information. As you mentioned, for the virtual camps, we do have student packets that we put together. There's a lot of partnerships that we have and outreach that we have. The last camp we had, we partnered with the Tana'atham Community College, TOCC, and they provided a lot of incentives for the students. They got water bottles, they got drawstrings, really nice backpacks with the presenters that provide the materials. All the materials are provided to the students that do participate. We focused up on harvesting and planting at our last camp that we held. And so there were a lot of planting seeds and materials to start a planting little plant that were provided, as well as the herbal medicines that are used and utilized from one of the other presenters that shared out that type of information. So the kids were able to make tea from these type of herbs, and specifically for what it was used for. And so from that indigenous perspective, a lot of this information and education is shared out with a lot of the students or the attendees. And so we highly encourage the students to participate, to learn, because it is a cultural sharing that is provided. We do have a diverse group of presenters that participate, as well as college mentors from different universities and colleges across the state that we want to implement. So if you know of any students, college students that are interested in being and serving as mentors, that opportunity is available to them also. We do provide a stipend for those that do participate, but it also provides them a chance for our students in K through 12, or I'm sorry, in 7th through 12th grade, to have that connection and that stepping stone for what they can accomplish as a college student and what they can look forward to maybe in the future, come back, going through the camp as a student and then coming back as a college mentor eventually coming back as a presenter, and then possibly even making it to come back to as an elder if they're interested in, you know, that type of pathway. So that's the type of ladder or that path that is paved that we want our students to connect to and to see. We do have our elders that are part of the camp that provide that feedback for the students and these cultural activities that are presented and that they do throughout the camp. And they get the feedback, they present to the elders, and the elders provide that feedback on what their perspective is and the specific activity that these students presented. We do have an overall project that we do with the students throughout the camp that on the last day, we invite their parents and community members to be a part of that time so they can see what the students learned and what they did and the end project for what they are accomplishing for each camp. And so this is something that our students, who we call our AIEA youth, that they utilize throughout the year until our next camp. And so that what I mean by that is that they're invited as AIEA youth to present at different conferences or meetings, or even within their schools, just to share out, even to different tribal gatherings. And so it's really an incentive for our students to be a part of what we do here. So just to help alleviate, I can't even think of the word, but to provide more information on what the camp is about. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Esther is also part of the committee as well. And so you can reach out to any one of us and we'll provide more information if needed. And so thank you, Esther, for helping and provide this information. But are there any questions about the camp? All right. If not, then we will move on to the next item, which is our new business. As I mentioned, we do have several items under this information, which is we're going to talk about the letter of support, as well as our executive officers, our membership, and our bylaws. So with the letter of support, I just wanted to state and let membership know that AIEA was contacted by Jacob Moore regarding a National Science Foundation grant proposal from ASU's Biomimicry Center, who was requesting a letter of support. The proposal is for a conference with Native American educators and biomimicry leaders to discuss potential synergies and support to broaden and deepen understanding of STEM with Indigenous knowledges and different approaches to science and sustainability. Dr. Sarah El-Sayed, who she is an assistant research professor and co-director of the biomimicry there at ASU, had reached out to me and had met with me as well as some members with the ADE team actually also, but really great information of what she's wanting to do. And what it is to bring a conference, to create this conference relating to or focusing upon the biomimicry. So those who may not know, biomimicry is a natural, and I should have looked at the definition before I shared this portion out, but for instance, one of the examples that Dr. El-Sayed used on how she learned, because her focus and research is in Indigenous foods. She is actually from Egypt as an Indigenous person also, but she looked at one of the samples or examples in our area in the Southwest region was the Pueblo people on how they built their homes. So what they looked at were the squirrels and how the squirrels made their homes in preparation for the winter time and the cold months that come, and how they stored their food. So based on the thickness on how they stored food is how thick the bricks that were used by the Pueblo people in creating their homes. And so that's how their homes were built, by mimicking of what nature is already providing. And so that's a sample or an example of what biomimicry is. And so based on that, she was wanting to provide propose a conference for this, focusing upon the biomimicry. Sarah, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, if I could.
Yes,
So we did meet with Sarah as well, and another example that she had mentioned was that is also just trying to help our kids go back to the teachings that were already there, as far as like look at agriculture. Like we have built our people had already built so many, fascinating and instruments that are still being used today for like our water, our plants, and all that. So that's basically what she's wanting to go back to, and back to where she's from. The irrigations that they had, the farming that they had, it was all based off of teachings that their people had already have had in place for thousands of years. And so she just wanted to, she found the similarities with our people's cultures and how we use like the stars and consonants to do all of that. So it's already there. And so she wants to create something that will inspire our kids to go back to those teachings using STEM teachings as well. So I just wanted to add to that, but that also may give you an example of what she's trying to do. And we really love the idea and hope that it can get pushed through.
yes, thank you, Sarah, for elaborating on that. I was trying to find my notes. I've got so many notebooks here that I have open, but that was one of the things that really I really enjoyed in speaking with Dr. Al Said on was about things that we already know what to do and how to take care of how the that reciprocal relationship, as Sarah mentioned, that we have with the land, that we take care of it, it takes care of us perspective. And so a lot of these things that are not talked about as often. And
Kim,
yes,
may I say something?
yes.
Okay, great. That is something I do as well. Noticing that the STEM items that are out there, if you really break them down, our culture and heritage have those pieces embedded in that STEM portion, so you can break them down. One of the ways that we do that is by looking at our culture and then knowing what STEM represents: the building of our homes, the use of measurement and math and engineering. All of those pieces are already there. That science is already there. And all we had to do is apply our culture to the STEM components and then bring in those institutional standards so they relate directly to the learning of of what the students are learning. So this is a wonderful opportunity. It's
We lost you for a little bit, Esther. If you want to try and get back to your ending statement.
so I was just saying that I'm looking forward to hearing from Dr. Said.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that information with us also. And one of the things that, just in this discussion that we're talking about, one of the things that she had highlighted in the proposal was it's a renewed practice from ancient knowledge wisdom. And the strength behind just that statement alone. And the summary that she had also hit on excellent points and what hinders Native American student interest in STEM fields, and that it would be great to see the recognition of multiple, in the proposal, she talks about multiple indigenous ways of knowing that is interwoven into the field that currently recognizes multiple scientific roots. So these different techniques that are already out there, as Sarah and Esther have mentioned, that our Native peoples have known since time immemorial. and just going back to that knowledge and really bringing forth that knowledge in our students. And so, how can we incorporate that more culturally appropriate ancient wisdom that has been known since time immemorial? And so it was a humbling conversation that I've had with Dr. Al Saeed, and I'm really happy that the AIEA executive had agreed to provide a letter of support on behalf of AIEA organization. And so one of the roles for AIEA I do have listed here that you can see is just what we would normally do with any collaborative efforts we have, and that's to collaborate and commit to provide counsel to the group as they prepare for the conference or the gathering. She hasn't really quite narrowed it down to what she wants to call it, and to also nominate potential speakers as well as suitable attendees for the conference. And so the proposal was submitted last on December 2nd. I think that was a couple of weeks back, or maybe last week sometime, but I haven't heard from her on when we may have a timeline of when we'll know when that will, whether it has been approved or accepted. But once we do hear, I know that she'll contact us to let us know. One of the other things I do want to also mention, because she had also recently reached out, and I told her that I would let our membership know. She reached out to me earlier this week. She is working with one of her partners from the Phoenix Zoo, and together they are in collaborative efforts to develop the BioConnect kits. And these are kits that they created for middle school students. They're middle school modules that you can utilize in teaching about biomimicry. It's modules for integrating biomimicry into the curriculum as extra activities. They developed these kits so that schools could just use them. However, they learned that many teachers also needed some teacher training to ensure that they can deliver them appropriately. And so again, just going back to that cultural curriculum materials that they created to share out. And so having these type of teacher trainings to help the teachers understand how to deliver them. So for this reason, the zoo has gone after some funding to ensure they can deliver them appropriately. They have now secured funds to train teachers. And so she was reaching out to see if we knew of any schools that are located on Indian reservations or that tailor to a predominantly Native American population. So she's looking for recommendations or school districts that she could reach out to in order to provide this type of training to them. And so let me drop her email in the chat if you know of any schools, or even if your school is interested in reaching out to her, just to let her know that you heard from our AIEA meeting that they have some teacher training for these modules. Please contact her and let her know. But like I said, it was a humbling conversation and what she's trying to do for and assisting us with our Native communities and Indigenous communities. And so are there any questions in regard to this?
Well, not so much a question, but it just reminded me that, we use it so often that we don't even think that it's something significant. Is my grandparents always told us to look at the sunflowers. If they come out early, then prepare for early winter. If there's a lot of sunflowers, then we're going to have a cold winter. So, just kind of little things like that. But like I said, when you look at it as a scientific way, there's a reason for those things. But to us, it was just like, it's just natural. It's just common knowledge, I guess. That's how I think about it. And the other one for Sarah, definitely our schools would be interested because, we have science just as an afterthought. It's not even in curriculum. We have our reading and math, and we're so focused on that. science is just something that you can fit in wherever, you know, there's a little bit of time, and even then it's not embedded as important. You know, we do have testings for just a few of the science grades, but not all. So this would definitely be something that our kids would be interested in, because up here in the White Mountains, we have water rights, we have our, you know, natural resources, we have elk population, you know, and everything else, like um, things that we have around us that we can develop in our classroom, because those are the things that our students are interested in and they know about. Even with the Apache trout, that's like the only Apache trout is only in the White Mountains. They fish it out. The fisheries take them out to some of the other populations for Arizona rivers. But, you know, just that whole process of knowing and letting our students share and continue that knowledge with others. And, you know, hopefully we'll have our own tribal members come back and take care of, you know, our wildlife and our fisheries. So yes, this would be definitely something we would be interested in.
Yes, that's wonderful to hear. Thank you, Katie. I think it's exciting. And if you weren't a part of the professional development we did, I want to say it was either in August or September, please go to our YouTube page and look at the PD. The video is up online for that. ASU did provide that presentation or that training for us, but that's when I first heard about biomimicry, and it's something that my son is actually very interested in. He is studying in college, but his focus is on environmental studies and environmental science now. But he knew exactly what biomimicry was, and so just learning that there's actually a term now, you know, or that a scientific term for things that, you know, we've all mentioned here that we've known for a long time, and things that were passed down by the oral teachings and the oral history that we have through the stories, through just the general knowledge that our grandparents, our great grandparents, even our parents may have had and shared with us growing up, you know, and things that I think about after I've learned that term, that word biomimicry, you know, it's just as we mentioned, things we've already known, but I think if our students get a taste of what that is, and from that perspective, it's going to encourage them to become more involved within these STEM fields and how they can relate as an Indigenous person, as a Native American student, you know, in these type of fields, and not be afraid and shy away from the STEM term, you know, and go and be drawn to that. And so it was exciting to hear that this is something that is wanting to be done for our Native communities. And so we were really excited, and were really encouraged and wanted to be a part of making that happen as best we can. So again, Sarah, Dr. El Said's contact is in the chat. And if you know of any students, please share out with other educators that may not be on the call today. We are missing a lot of our members today, but we will get that out to the membership email list also. And so any other comments or questions? All right. So if there are none, we will move on to the next item, which is our executive officers. So this is really sad. So it's been difficult to, as I mentioned, for our organization, for AIEA, and as well as our executive membership or officials, we have gone through a tremendous transitional phase this past year, with several of our officials moving in transitions throughout personal jobs, and as well as just the time management that they have available on hand. And so as you notice from our elections, we have had a few changes within our officers. And so we are going to have another change with our executive officials. And so we are sad to say that, well, let me just read this. It's been difficult trying to find time in between to continue AIEA responsibilities since starting a new position. And so because of this, our secretary, Jerry Thomas, sent me a letter to relinquish official capacity of the AIEA secretary. So this new position, her new position takes precedence, you know, especially when she works with students. And we do know that it does take a lot of her time. But I did want to acknowledge her and for the work that she has put into AIEA. So I just want to read a sentiment that I shared with her when I responded back to her earlier this week. So on behalf of the AIEA organization also, I did let her know, I told her thank you for the relentless efforts and work that she's put into rebuilding AIEA and to moving forward. I know that AIEA had our share of downtimes, but she's always kept a positive and innovative perspective on the organization, events, and activities. Many of these events would not have been possible without the commitment and dedication that she provided in making them a success. I'm not sure if a lot of you are aware, but a lot of the events we had before pre-pandemic, Jerry was very instrumental in making those and planning those events for our organization, especially with our educators banquet that we started back in 2018. And so I know that she has been missed and will be missed at every meeting, every event, and every activity. But I know that the work that she's done and has provided has left a legacy of leadership of what AIEA stands for. She has been a champion of AIEA and has been greatly appreciated for all the work and efforts that she's done over the years. And so in Navajo, for which she is, and for what my husband is that I learned, you know, I just would like to say, you know, thank you. It's been a true honor to work with her and leading the AIEA organization. And I did let her know that there's always an open invitation for whenever she's ready to come back. But I did want to acknowledge to the membership and those on the call that she has stepped aside from her official capacity as AIEA secretary. And so we will miss having her continuously a part of us, but I do know that when she does have time, she did state that she will be available to assist as best she can for any upcoming events or activities. And so with that, according to our bylaws, Article 4, under officers, Section 6, which is a vacancy. Any officer vacancy may be filled by appointment by the president with consent of the general membership. The newly elected officer shall serve only for the remainder of the term. And so because we just recently held elections in October, this vacancy will be filled until the next election in October 2023. So currently we do not have any, because she was a sole nomination for that position. We didn't have any backup nominations. And so I would just like to open it up to those on the call. If you have anybody in mind that may be interested in serving as an executive officer for AIEA, I'm allowing you that time to share out those names now, or if you can't think of anybody, please forward them to us and we will reach out to them by email. So I'm going to open it up at this time to the membership. And please feel free to share sentiments. This is being recorded. So Jerry will be able to see this recording at a later time when she has time.
Hi, Editor. Well, I'd just like to say that Jerry will be missed during our meetings, and she is a useful person and loving and kind. and she has been here to guide us through our AIEA meetings. She will be missed. So good luck to you, Jerry, and hope to see you around. As for nominations, I currently don't have anyone that I'm currently thinking of, but that will take a minute just because we heard about the news just yesterday.
Thank you, Esther. I appreciate that. And would anybody else like to share any sentiments for Jerry?
I just want to say, Jerry, I'm so sorry I didn't get to know you much longer, but I do thank you for the time that I have met with you, and of course, wish you the best of luck in all your future endeavors.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate that. Anybody else?
Yes, Jerry, I hope you the best, and it's sad to see you go, another executive. But moving on to bigger and better things, and we'll welcome you back with open arms whenever you get a free moment. But other than that, I'd like to wish you all the best and luck and success.
Thank you, Sheila. Anybody else?
This is Katie. I'm gonna miss hearing Jerry's voice. It's very unique and pleasant voice. And I know things change, and with the transitions, we have to get used to people coming and going. But also, I hope you find happiness in whatever lies ahead for you, Jerry. As far as another secretary, I'll be thinking about someone, but I can't think of anyone right now either.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, ladies. I appreciate the sentiments you shared with Jerry. Again, I know that she'll review this recording at a later time, and appreciate your thoughts and encouragement for her. I know she's really excited about her new position. She is currently at the Salt River Pima Indian community and working directly with the students. She's been going on a lot of field trips and having a lot of activities with the students, even over the break. I believe they have some programs that they are providing for their students there. And so she's been really busy. And so it's been really difficult to try and connect with her. But again, she did email me earlier this week, and it hit home for us, as you can see. But if you have any nominations in the future, then please share with us. In the meantime, Travis will be our connection as far as sending out any information and secretarial duties as the co-secretary for the organization. And so with that, if there's no other comments to be said, we can move on to our next item on the agenda and wish Jerry all the best. So thank you so much for your work and efforts for AIEA. So moving on, we are going to talk a little bit about the membership. And so I am going to turn it over to our Vice President, Esther.
Hello, everyone. All right, perfect. And so with membership, there are a couple things coming up. We'll be talking about the bylaws shortly. However, in our membership, we need to change some of the dates. Like Kim mentioned, we did change the date of our membership yearly annual cutoff. And so we are looking for new members to join AIEA. And one way of doing that
I think we lost you
Oh.
again, Esther.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You went silent, Esther.
Ooh, thank you. I accidentally pushed my space bar. So I'm not sure if you want to go to the website or you want to let me share my screen. All right, perfect. Give me one moment and I will share the screen. Okay, can you hear me? And can you see the screen? I cannot see anyone.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sheila. All right, and so what you can do is you can go to the ITCA website, which I'm pulling up right now. And under, we have an Arizona Indian Education Association and several links on your left-hand side. As you scroll down, there are several forms here. Here is the membership application. And this is PDF fillable, so all you have to do is fill that out. We're hoping from November 1st to October 31st is the membership covers through those times. If you're a new member or renewal, and then here are the prices.
When you get there. I think we lost you again.
Decide which type of membership you would like and send in payment for that. So it did start in November. We're currently in December. So if you haven't sent the payment in for membership, we please hope that you do and continue to participate with us, bringing wonderful information as Katie did with the sunflowers. So please take some time and fill that out and put in your purchase orders. Do we have any questions about the membership? And as you see, is the membership type, you do have votes. So you can put 2 different people on it, as in before when I was the educational agency, that's how I did my membership, and we had 2 votes. So I had another staff member who was able to step in for me, or we both attended at the same time, but we were able to do 2 votes. If you do individual membership, you get 1 vote, but the rest of the other ones, you get 2 votes when we do get items up to vote for. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Thank you for giving me the time to review the membership information.
All right, thank you, Esther. Let me get back on here. And if there's no questions, we will go into our bylaws. And so I just made a note that our bylaws were executed on the 14th day of September 2007. And so it has been some time since I think they probably looked at it, but we've never officially, as far as I've been on the AIEA as a member, I know that we had recommendations. We did have a bylaws committee when I first came on board in 2015. And since that time, we did make recommendations. We do have 2 sets where we have our original bylaws and then a recommended bylaw with the changes and amendments we would like to make, but the membership never made an official approval or acceptance of that recommendations that we have. And so I'm going to again just turn it over to Esther for a few minutes so she can talk to the bylaws portion for AIEA. So Esther.
All right, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Sorry for the internet instability. I don't know, it's maybe my new laptop, but anyways, let me move forward. And so with the bylaws, in January, if you please think about it, I will be overseeing the bylaw committee. And so I would really like for you to join me, and we'll start this in January. So you can think about it or nominate somebody if you think someone would be a good person to help bring in the professionalism to help strategize and change the dates. So we'll be taking look at those two different bylaws. I do believe that our bylaws absolutely need to be updated this year. So I will be forming a committee in January to begin looking at those, making the proper changes, changing the dates, changing not everything, of course, because there are some excellent bylaws in there, but just updating, and then we'll bring it to the general session, have everyone vote who can vote, and then those will be placed as our official bylaws starting 2023. So just looking forward to January and getting to start to dig into those and make some updates.
Awesome. Thank you, Esther. I did upload, I hope I did. I uploaded the current bylaws that we have to our chat. So please feel free to download those. So you'll have your copy. As you can see, and I know on my end, I have a few things highlighted because I looked through them. But those are the things highlighted are dates that we do need to update within the current bylaws to reflect our current administrative process as we have it right now. And so if you look through, you'll see that there's quite a few updates that do need to be made in these bylaws. Like I said, it's been some time since we've addressed these. And even though it is a tedious process, you know, Esther has graciously accepted to head this up in creating our bylaws committee so that it can be reviewed in detail. And so again, if you can just reach out to, and Esther, if you don't mind just sharing your contact information in the chat, so that if anybody is interested in being a part of this committee, please reach out to Esther and let her know. And we'll provide an update at our January meeting. And so thank you again, Esther, for your willingness to hit this up. And she did put her contact information in the chat if you want to grab that and share that out also for other individuals who you think might be interested in serving on this committee. Are there any questions in regard to the bylaws? All right, if there are none, we are almost done, but you know, I forgot to put in another slide. So I am actually going to stop sharing right now. And I do want to allow some time for program share outs. If there's anything you would like to share out with the community here, this is a time where you can share out what fabulous things you're doing within your own program or any updates you would like the membership to know about. So I'm going to open it up to those on the call if you have any updates you would or program share outs you would like to provide. Everybody's ready for the break. Esther, go ahead.
Okay, I was waiting for Katie. So as the owner of Bitterwater Design and Cultural Learning, I'd like to say that I appreciate all of you supporting me during this time and transition from the Mesa Public Schools program specialist.
We lost you, Esther.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, now we hear you.
So sorry. I'm like, where was I? Now I have to go over. Well, I just want to thank you all for supporting me with my transition from Mesa Public Schools program specialist to my own business. And then also ASU, you know, it's a few hours, but I get to continue with what I do there. I teach cultural lessons across the state of Arizona, conferences, MCs. One of my specialties is STEM. So speaking about the doctor and that is right up my line. I love that it's already there, it's embedded. But I come in and I teach those lessons from kindergartner all the way to college, excuse me, and our community members as well. So if you're needing some of that information, I'd just like to say that I'm available to come out and teach that. I've also done professional development, being in the classroom since 2004 officially. I've got a lot of experience and know the Arizona standards, national standards, what we need as Indigenous people, um, and also implementing that language piece. So I do an all around about emphasis on a certain topic. So if I were talking about jingle dresses, that really goes into mathematics, geometry, natural resources, also the background history of where those jingles came from. Jingle dresses are from tobacco, the tops of tobacco cans. Nobody knows that, but that it's what's traditional. One lady spoke out last time saying that her mother found all of these tobacco cans in her grandfather's barn. And so she got to use those and is very proud to be able to use those. So those are some of the components that I've been teaching lately. And so I've been super busy participating in things across the state, and I absolutely love it. This is my passion, my dream, and my website will be up soon. That's not my favorite thing to do, so it's taking a while. But my website is bitterwaterdesign.com. So if you're in need of information or someone to come in to do a teaching, it could be small group, by grade level, by department, or anything else that you see that is in need. So please give me a call. I put my phone number in there. I also put my email as well. As I said, my website is it's under construction and will be up soon. And then I do have an Instagram. It is Bitterwater Design 480. And that's my business one. Thank you for giving me the time to share what I'm doing. And I'm absolutely enjoying working with the students, little ones, kindergartners, all the way up to college students. So they're very interested, and I love taking the input from the students as well of what they want to learn. So thank you for taking the time to listen. I appreciate you. Yeah.
It's not so much as what I have going on. We had a parent committee meeting last month where I invited two elder community members and asked them to speak to our parents. I kind of gave them like a broad topic and explained to them, we have a lot of young families, we have a lot of grandparents that are raising children, their grandchildren. So if you can kind of just speak to that. And the session went really well. The first one was Ramon Riley. He's from our culture center. So he kind of went back through the history of a talking circle, starting with the top, coming around. He explained, all the phases that we go through in our life, and how when we reach each phase, we kind of graduate into the next level. So you're the caretakers for the younger ones coming in. So it's up to you to be the mentor to those coming in. And then the next one was his wife, Mildred Riley. She covered the family. So she said, I never knew about this before. She said, as with, all things that happen, your first child just kind of gets away with everything because you're new being a parent and you don't know, that your child came with instructions or not. You're just kind of doing things as it comes along. So she explained that by her third child, she knew she needed to set boundaries. with her family. So she said, that's what I did. She said, I just gave them, you know, these are the rules for the house. If you break it, this is what happens. If, you know, something happens, and they all met together, like, you know, a little family council. And she said the others would kind of reside as, you know, the attorneys for, you know, whatever had happened. And they were too strict with, you know, the penalties. She had to step in and remind them, you know, if this, you know, kind of minor thing, yes, it's minor, but they still got in trouble. If that happened to you, so that means you're going to get that same punishment too. So she kind of just explained, you know, that they had to be fair and how they, you know, kind of judged one another. So she just talked about that. And that night we had a lot of parents, so it was really good. This Monday we have another one, and the parents that we've invited are Klein and Dorothea Griggs, also elders from here. And I can't wait to kind of hear what they have to say. So I'm excited about that. But all this is with our Title VI funds that we create our school calendar. So what I do is I, you know, ask for assistance with people to make the calendar, and then I kind of just write out their stories of how, you know, they shared it and put it in the calendar form. So this is kind of our beginning project part, and doing this in collaboration with our Parent Advisory Council. So I'm excited for it.
Thank you, Katie. It's so good to hear that you're working with your parents and the council and suggestions from them as well. I got a chance to work with Madison School District, which is down here in the Phoenix area, helping to create in their executive officers. It's really important once you get that JOM or Title VI funding or any federal funding, is to make sure that you have the pieces in place to continue that. So Madison is now established their office, their Indian Education Committee parent officers, and that's wonderful that you're working with your parents. Good job, Katie.
Yeah, I'd like to commemorate to Katie. That's really awesome that what you're doing there. On our end over here in Scottsdale, and I want to thank Esther because she really helped me out on this. As I told you in the last meeting, November 28th was our first inaugural culture night for Scottsdale Unified School District. I roped her into being my MC because I knew I'd be running around like a mad woman, and she did awesome. We had our own little talk, and what I'd like to see some more activities for next year. The board members of the school board here sent me some great feedback as far as that they were very happy that this was actually something that came about after all these many years. My superintendent said he enjoyed the entertainment. He also learned a few things when they were talking about what the songs meant or what the dances meant. So it was really great. I said if I had gotten at least 20 people to attend, I would call it a success. We ended up having 72 people. It did not look like that in the crowd because everybody was all sitting different places, but we were fortunate enough to have Miss Indian Arizona because she was a former graduate student of the high school. We had the royalty come in from Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community, and we also had one of the girls, the first attendant, Miss ASU, Indigenous. So that was kind of nice. I wanted to have the royalty there. We had one of our former students who did the Pledge of Allegiance in the Yaqui language. So that was really awesome to hear because I have never really heard the Yaqui language. So that was kind of a really cool experience. You know, we started on native time too because we had a fry bread truck. So everybody went to the fry bread truck first. But she ran out of beans, she ran out of dough, so that was really great. Plus she was on, I think, one of the food truck apps. So people were coming to the community And the joke was one guy kept driving around the high school, not knowing where she was because she was actually in the campus on site. And he told her, he said, well, I'll just park and I'll follow all the Native Americans going inside. So that was kind of a joke and fun thing, but we had a fantastic time. A school board member, was the vice president, she said that when her and I had talked about it, I wasn't real sure if I was going to be able to pull it off this year. So I was really looking more at next year. And she said she was just so impressed that I put the pedal to the metal and I got it done. So she was very impressed. And I believe she's one of our outgoing board members. So that for her to say that and to have the school board president at this event as well really showed that, they're at least supporting our program. So that has been an awesome thing. Esther has also been gracious enough to come and do a couple of culture little classes with a very, very small group of 4 young women at our elementary school. And the first couple of things I think you did was the beading with the storytelling, which was really cool. The teacher that does the after school program just loved it. I mean, she just loves you. I mean, she's got great things to say about you. And then the last one that they did this week was they were working on little moccasins, which was kind of cute to watch because one had the scissors backwards, so she was having a hard time cutting. The other one couldn't find the hole. So Esther and I are planning, we're going to have her come back and do some other little activities. Our 21st century program site coordinators, I have a couple of them that are interested in also having something, maybe a storytelling. In fact, the school you went to at Navajo, the Miss Simmons said she mentioned to the principal about having you come in and maybe do a storytelling with the school so they can learn about our people. So that's going to be in the works. So Esther, you're going to be a little bit busy this coming spring probably. But other than that, that's all we're doing now. We're hoping and praying. We are actually going to finally have an in-person parent committee meeting this coming January. The Zoom thing just does not work. Either lose connection, people can't get, it's just been crazy. So I'm hoping that that's going to start up. So I'm excited to go, and I got to get ready for my next session here. They're getting ready to start. Just wanted to give the shout out to Esther.
You're so sweet. Thank you, Sheila. It is a passion, like I say, and it's just what I do. And I know a big focus in our Arizona schools is presenting on the 22 tribes of Arizona. So that is a big focus, and language implementation. I do implement Navajo as much as I can, and it's wonderful to hear the kids practicing and then using it on their own. When they're saying goodbye, they're like, oh, well, hakone, saying it a little bit wrong, but, at least they're practicing, and that's what's important. So thank you, Sheila. I appreciate the shout out.
Thank you, ladies. I appreciate you sharing out all the wonderful things that you're doing within your program. And Sarah, I don't know if you wanted to add anything about maybe what your kids are doing, or if you don't have a lot within the ADE that's going to be coming up, but just a little bit about what you got going on.
Yeah, well, we are just pushing through the new leadership change. And we are planning on some upcoming events, but it's just setting those dates in order. And then, but that's basically it. We really don't have a whole lot, again, just because of the transition coming in. But hopefully by mid-January, we'll have everything. We'll be able to present a little bit more updates and stuff, especially with Brooke and Helen. I know they are a very huge hit at our office. They present beautifully and wonderful together. And I know a lot of their presentations have a lot of positive feedback. And so hopefully we'll be able to do that more often. But in the time that I have been here with the office, they have done, author panels and professional learning panels and seminars and so on. And so I haven't personally attended all of them, but from, again, like what we've been hearing and what we receive from community members and people who do attend, they're inviting them to their to to come to their schools or their events to do some presentations as well. So I'll go ahead and drop a link to our office if you guys don't have it already. But a lot of the information that they have presented on will be found on our website as well. You can just go to the professionally learning and resources. A lot of their webinars and seminars have been uploaded there. They do have a 30-day expiration date, so the sooner you can get to it, the better. But again, we will have all of our upcoming events on our website. We also had, Native American Heritage was last month, and so we did a couple of highlights. We did highlight Kimberly, and so if you want to go ahead and take a look at that, that would be wonderful to see. Any other information is all on there. All of our contact information is on there as well. So if you haven't visited our page, please feel free to do so. But on a personal note, I am so excited to be celebrating the holidays with our family. And again, I just appreciate all you kind ladies for allowing me to be a part of the meetings here. And I'm learning so much from each and every one of you, and especially about the work that you do as well for our students all across the Valley, and of course all across the Arizona. So thank you again, and happy holidays.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate that. And yes, they always have really good resources. The whole team there at ADE does a phenomenal job on keeping our community updated. I love the communication that has actually been out there for our educators within the past couple of years. Superintendent Hoffman has done tremendous work in making sure and ensuring that our voices are heard. It's a little bit of a push to try and get legislation and things passed, but she has been a true advocate for our Indigenous communities for the state of Arizona. So again, just sad to see her not re-elected back in, but if she does choose to run again, we definitely are in support for that and any way we can. I never really share out about my program. My coworker is usually on the call with me, but I see she was actually on the call earlier, but she always has technical difficulties when it comes to Zoom also. And so just a little bit about what we do here at the Amphi School District. We have our parent meetings, our cultural nights that we've been doing. We collaborate with the local Tucson Indian Center on a lot of events and activities. So I just want to put it out there really quickly that one of the events coming up is our spring powwow. We were trying to have it in the fall, but things just didn't pan out for us. And so we are actually going under a transitional process with my own Indian Education Committee. And so we're hopeful that things will be put back in. And we actually have good news that 2 new parents actually came on board to fill some vacancies we had on our education committee. So I do have parents that are interested in wanting to learn more about the program, are asking questions and really participating. We had a fantastic, phenomenal fundraiser. Usually we sell fry bread. We have one of my parents are of Navajo, and she's a fantastic, delicious fry bread maker, but that didn't pan out for us. So instead we had a bake sale. And that went really well considering it's just baked goods. We actually sold out at the Tucson Tamale Festival. So my parents are really happy about that, being that it's just baked goods. And we actually made half the amount of what we would have made if we sold fry bread. And so we're really happy about that, even though it's just half the amount. They did raise close to $500 just selling baked goods. And so it was phenomenal work that they did. And it was cold and rainy the entire day. They did ask us to go inside because they had a lightning warning at one point, but it was a lot of fun. And so thank you, Sheila. And I thank you, ladies, for being a part of the meeting today. I know that a lot of us have other things going on, but I do sincerely appreciate you being a part of the program and the meeting for today. I did want to share out just one final slide, which I'm sad Sheila had to get off, but this is just a special message from our executive officers. I don't have an updated picture of our current officers, but we will get that once we can try and meet each other in person. But I did want to express our sentiments on behalf of the executives that we wish you a special time with your families during this blessed holiday and winter season. May our Creator bless your pathways. And so we do have and acknowledge as Native peoples the upcoming winter solstice, which will take place on December, I believe it's the 22nd this year, or maybe usually the 21st or 22nd. But so as we prepare for the upcoming holidays, a lot of our people celebrate that particular event. It is a time of the year where it's a very spiritual time. It's a time to be reverent to Mother Nature. It's a time of rebirth, renewal, and rejuvenation. And so with over 576 tribal nations recognized within the United States, each of the cultures celebrates in their own unique way of life. And so I just wanted to acknowledge and wish each of you and your families a special holiday for the upcoming seasons as we near our winter solstice, and it's a new beginning and a rebirth, rejuvification of our spiritual wellness and our well-being. And so thank you for your patience with AIEA during our meetings throughout this past year. And we look forward to seeing you in the coming new year in 2023, and look forward to seeing you in January 20th. And with that, we can adjourn this meeting because we don't have full membership on board. So there's no official adjournment of the meeting, but I do want to take note that our next meeting is January 20th. And we'll start at 11 o'clock. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Travis for any questions in regard to the agenda items. If there's any agenda items that you would like to see on the agenda, please feel free to email those to us and we can add that to our agenda. And again, there's just our media links for our social media as well as our websites. So thank you again, everybody, for joining us today, and appreciate your time, your patience, and for especially sharing out about all the wonderful things that you're doing. And so with that, we will adjourn for today, and I am going to stop our recording here.